Hi yogis, I'm Cori. Thank you for watching. Today I'm filming at the studio where I usually teach in Austin called Treehouse Yoga. It's such a beautiful space. If you're ever in Austin, please come by and check it out. We would love to have you. Today our video and our sequence will focus on opening up the heart chakra. So we'll open up across our chest. We'll also keep our palms spread wide because actually the heart chakra runs from the center of the chest all the way down through both arms into the center of your palm. So when we express ourselves through physical touch, we're actually extending our heart out to the people we're touching. And even if you might not find yourself focusing on romantic love right now or in a romantic relationship, we can always use a little bit more love in our lives, whether it's for ourselves, for our friends and family, or community, or our globe as a whole. So settle in, focusing on the heart chakra today. We'll get started down on our backs. On your back, you may find that you like to be in a Shavasana pose or Supta Baddha Konasana with your knees spread apart, soles of the feet touching in the center, or a constructive rest where your feet come down to the edges of your mat, knees knock in towards the center. Find something that's comfortable for you. Bring your eyes to close. We'll start to come into our breath. As you're lying here, think about tucking your shoulder blades right underneath you so you get a little bit of lift in your heart. We'll draw your inhales through your nose. They'll come past your chest, past your heart chakra area, all the way down into your belly. You'll release your exhale, slow and steady, completely relaxed. Start to take a check-in with your physical body. How are you feeling today? Are there any areas where you could be a little softer, where the breath might be getting obstructed, or where you're holding on to tension at this point in the day? Feel yourself grow heavier on your mat. We'll bring one hand up to the heart, one hand to the belly. Doesn't matter which one. And as you breathe in, feel yourself expand into both hands. And as you breathe out, your palms will soften down onto you. Gently noticing the rising and the falling of your breath. As we let the world outside of our mat fall away, we always can come back to this steady rising and falling. We'll stay here for 3 more rounds of breath. As you're ready, we'll start to gather the knees up in towards your chest, giving yourself a nice squeeze, maybe taking a rock from side to side. And then your choice, whether you want to start taking long rocks along your spine or press your way up. We'll meet on hands and knees in a tabletop position. So we'll cross at the ankles, roll our way over so we can bring the shoulders right over the wrists, hips right over the knees. We'll set up for our rounds of cat and cow here. Inhale, drops the belly down towards the floor. Opening the heart, we draw the shoulders back. Think about pulling your chest in between your biceps. Exhale, tuck your chin and tailbone down towards the mat. Pressing everything down in towards your mat that's touching the ground. And then inhale takes us back into our cow pose, lifting the gaze, tailbone high. Exhale, round into your cat. And we'll take 2 more rounds, matching your movement to your own breath. And we'll start to come back to a neutral spine. We're going to slide the right knee forward right up in between your hands. Left knee shifts back behind it. We'll walk those toes to the back of the mat and just take a look. Make sure your toes are pointing straight back. We'll rise up high on the fingertips, finding some length in the spine. We'll exhale to lower the torso over your knee. And this isn't quite a pigeon pose. The angle in your knee and your thigh is a little sharper. We'll inhale to lift up in our sleeping swan. Exhale lowers your belly down onto your thigh. Inhale lifts you back up, moving your spine like a wave. Exhale, lowering down, extending through the torso. This time bringing your forearms out to rest on them or stretching your arms all the way out in front of you. We come into a more restorative, gentle version of our pigeon. Ground your forehead down on the mat if it reaches. If not, you may like to stack your two fists underneath your forehead or have one palm resting on top of the other. But let yourself ground down onto something. And take another breath in here. And as you exhale, start to walk your hands back up to the top of your mat. We'll just shift the right knee back to meet the left, and then we'll switch out the knees. Left knee comes forward, right toes walk to the back of your mat. Take a peek, make sure the toes are going straight back. Inhale, find some length, lift up. Exhale, fold over your thigh. Inhale to rise. Exhale to lower down. We'll take one more wave of the spine. As you exhale, start to walk your arms out to the top of your mat, either resting on your forearms or starting to walk your hands all the way out. We'll ground the forehead down. Come back to your inhales and your exhales. We'll take another breath in here. And as you exhale, walk your hands back to the top of your mat. We'll slide the left knee back in line with the right, coming back through our tabletop. Spread the fingers wide, tuck the toes under. We'll meet in our downward facing dog. Do what you need to do to get settled into your downward facing dog. You might pedal your knees out one at a time, or shift your hips from side to side. You can bend into your knees deeply, bring your belly closer to your thighs. You'll lift your tailbone up towards the ceiling. Then find somewhere you can get comfortable and still. Press down through your knuckles, take some weight out of your wrists. We'll inhale here. Exhale to stay. Next inhale lifts you up high on the balls of your feet, and as you exhale, slowly start to walk your feet up behind your wrists. We'll find our way into a forward fold with feet hips distance apart. Feel free to grab hold of opposite elbows, take a sway back and forth, or just let your arms hang heavy. And come to stillness in the center. And we'll start to come up to a halfway lift. So we'll press our hands into the shins. Inhale, thinking about drawing the heart forward, just like in between the biceps in our cow pose. We'll stretch the crown of the head towards the front of your mat, tailbone towards the back. Inhale here, draw your shoulder blades together. Exhale, we'll fold. On our next inhale, we'll round the spine, come all the way up to standing. We'll make our way into a Tadasana, mountain pose. Spread your palms wide by your sides. Inhale, feel down, grounded into your feet. Exhale, feel this transfer of energy with the earth. On your inhale, we'll sweep the palms out and up overhead to touch above us. Exhale, melt down into your forward fold. We'll inhale to our halfway lift, bringing hands to shins or fingers to the floor. Exhale, plant your hands. We'll step our right foot to the back of our mat, coming to a low lunge. Lower your back knee down. And then just give a little wiggle of your hips, feeling into the hip joint, checking in with the body. We'll start to think about drawing your heart forward, finding some lift across the chest. Draw your shoulder blades back together behind you. We'll untuck the back toes. Start to lift your arms up in line with your ears. We come to our Anjaneyasana. And drawing your inner thighs together, reaching your fingertips high. Keep your tailbone pointing down towards the floor so your bottom ribs stay glued in. Inhale, start to bring our gaze up to our fingertips. On your exhale, we'll bring both hands down to the center of your front leg. We'll walk that left foot all the way over to the left edge of your mat, and we'll take our right hand off onto the floor on the outside of your mat. And make sure it's grounded. We'll start to bring our left hand up to our left thigh, gently pressing the thigh away from you. And it might not even be needing to press in at all. We'll start to open across our heart. Bring your gaze up over your left shoulder, and you might like to extend your left arm up to the sky, letting your left shoulder drop back. We sink down into our hips, inhaling into your heart. You're welcome to stay here or start to take your hand back behind your skull. We'll open up even further, drawing the shoulder blades together behind you, leaning your shoulders back. Inhale here. And as we exhale, we'll bring the palms back to the inside of your front foot, setting up for a lizard pose. You're welcome to lower down onto the forearms here if that's comfortable for you, or stay up high on the palms. And we'll keep our gaze down on our mat or back at your back knee. We'll take another inhale and exhale here. And then start to press your hands back up at the top of your mat. We'll retuck the back toes, lift the back knee up, and we're just going to step the right foot up to meet the left, coming back to a forward fold at the top of our mat. And we'll inhale to a halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Next inhale takes us all the way back up to standing. We'll interlace the fingers up overhead. We'll leave the index and the thumbs out. Start to stretch your pointer fingers up towards the sky. On an exhale, we'll take a bend over to the right, keeping the weight distributed evenly through both of your feet and stretching long through both sides of your torso. Next inhale draws us up through center. Then on your exhale, take your bend over to the left. On our next inhale, we'll reach high. Exhale, fold into your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, we'll plant the hands. We'll step the left foot to the back of your mat this time, lowering the knee down. And first taking that little wiggle of your hips from side to side, just feeling into them, checking in with the situation. And start to draw your heart forward, lifting a little bit in your chest. Draw your shoulders back. And then we'll start to rise up into our Anjaneyasana, bringing the arms up by the ears, feeling a nice opening in your left hip flexor. And pressing down through the right foot. We'll find some lift in both sides. Next inhale, we'll bring our gaze up past our fingertips. On your exhale, take both hands down to the inside of your right foot. We'll walk that foot all the way over to the right edge of your mat, and then take your left hand out onto the floor just outside your mat. We'll bring our right hand up to the top of your right thigh and gently, just a tiny bit, start to press that thigh away from you. Let your hips sink a little bit lower. Start to open across your chest and draw your shoulders back and together. Option to lift your right arm up to the sky and let that right shoulder drop back. Filling the breath all the way down into your belly. You might like to bring the hand back behind your head. Spread wider across your chest. Pinch your shoulder blades together behind you. We'll inhale here. And on your exhale, take both hands around to the inside of your front foot. You might stay up here on your palms and just work on drawing your heart forward, or lower down onto your forearms for our lizard pose, relaxing through the neck. And we'll stay here for one more round of breath. And then start to press your weight back onto your palms if you're not there already. We'll slide the right foot, the right knee back in line with the left. We'll lower the chest and chin down to the mat, keeping your butt high up. And then start to slither forward onto your belly, making sure your toes come untucked back behind you. We'll squeeze the shoulder blades together. Gently press down into the palms and the tops of the feet to lift into your baby cobra. Keep your gaze right out in front of your mat. Let your neck be long, shoulders draw away from your ears. And start to lower back down. We'll take another round like that, inhaling to lift up. You might like to come into a straight arm cobra, starting to press down through your palms and still thinking about drawing your heart forward, shoulders stay away from your ears. Exhale to lower down. And then we'll press our way up through hands and knees, making your way back into your downward facing dog. From our down dog, we'll inhale to rise up high on the toes. On your exhale, bend your knees, look forward, and either hop or step your feet up behind your hands. Forward fold. Inhale lifts you up halfway. Exhale, fold in. Then we'll set our feet up for Utkatasana, chair pose. They can either be together or hips distance apart. We'll sit the hips down low. Reach the arms up by the ears. Find your chair. Draw your knees and your hips back so you can see your toes poking out inside of your knees. And reach the fingertips a little higher. And then we'll start to let our hands travel behind our low back. Interlace your fingers. Stretch your knuckles and your heart away from each other. Breathe in. Exhale, fold your belly down onto your thighs. Let your brains dump out onto the floor. Stretch your knuckles high. Nod your head up and down or around in little circles if that feels nice. And start to release the clasp of your hands. They'll travel down onto your mat. We'll step the right foot back behind you. We'll start to make a little bit of space to the sides of our mat. Left toes come a little left, right one's a little right. We'll keep our stance short. Lower your back heel down. Start to rise up for your warrior one. So our hips will still be pointing forward towards the front of our mat. We bring a nice bend into the front knee. Strong and straight through our back leg. Reach the arms high up by your ears. We'll start to straighten through our front leg. And keeping your hips square towards the front of the mat, you'll bring your hands down onto your hips and start to hinge forward at your waist. You can always bring a nice little bend into your front knee if it becomes too intense on the hamstring. We'll take the fingertips down onto the floor for pyramid pose. Draw both hips toward the back of the room and start to fold in, thinking about drawing your forehead down towards the top of your foot so you keep some length in your spine. We'll start to rebend into our front knee. Lifting our back heel up so we can come to a low lunge. You might have to hop that back foot back a little bit. We'll keep our right hand grounded and start to peel our left arm open to the sky. Twisted lunge. Option to lower your back knee down here. We'll work on bringing the gaze up towards the top hand. Still opening across the heart, so our shoulder blades still squeeze together behind the back. Inhale here. Exhale, left hand comes down. We'll just step our right foot up to meet our left, coming back to our forward fold. Resetting the feet for our next round of Utkatasana. We'll sit the hips down low, sweep the arms up by the ears. Sit your hips a little lower. We'll inhale here. On your exhale, draw your elbows wide, heart reaches forward, and a heart opener in our Utkatasana. And then on our next inhale, we'll just stand straight up. Bring the palms to touch overhead. Exhale down into your fold. This time, we'll step the left foot to the back of your mat. Set your feet up for warrior one. Make them a little wider so your hips have room to open. We'll lower the back heel down. Reach the arms up by your ears. Come into your warrior. Make the back leg really straight and strong. Press down through the outside edge of your back foot, almost like you could lift the arch up off the mat. Let your shoulders fall away from your ears. Let your spine be long. Then we'll start to straighten through our front leg. Take our hands down to our hips so we can square them off. Start to hinge forward at your waist. And then once you get about halfway down, we'll bring the fingertips down around to frame the front foot. Start to fold into your pyramid pose, even if you bend into your right knee a lot. We'll take another inhale. As you exhale, start to rebend your front knee. Hop your back foot back a little so you can lift the back heel up. We'll keep the left hand down. Twist your right arm open towards the sky. And a twisted low lunge. Working your gaze up towards that top thumb, but if it bothers your neck, you just stay looking down at your mat. And take an inhale here. Exhale, lower the right hand down to the mat. Step your right foot to the back. We'll find a high plank pose. We'll inhale here. As you exhale, lower all the way down onto your belly. With control, untuck the toes back behind you. We'll bring the palms face down by your sides. We'll find half of a locust pose, so we'll start by lifting the chest and the arms up off the mat. Reaching your fingers back towards your heels. Find length in your neck and your spine. Lift up a little higher. Exhale back down. We'll turn one cheek to the side. Bring your big toes together to cross and your ankles out wide. Taking just a moment here, a couple breaths to reset the spine. Then we'll bring our forehead back down to the mat. Reset your toes toward the back of the room. Press your palms down by your sides. This time as we inhale, we'll bring the legs with us. You can have the legs zipped up and together or hips distance apart. Wherever you are, imagine like you could shoot out and touch the back of your room with your toes and your fingers. Inhale, lift a little higher. Feel your pelvis pressing down into the earth. Exhale, we'll lower down, turn your other cheek to the side, let your upper body relax. We'll bring our gaze back towards the mat. Hands come to plant back beside your chest. We'll tuck the toes under and press up through hands and knees or through a high plank pose. We'll meet back in downward facing dog. In your down dog, take an inhale through your nose. Exhale, release it out your mouth. We'll bring the feet to touch at the back of your mat. Inhale, lift your right leg high. Option to bend your knees, stack the hips open, lift your knee a little higher. Inhale here. Exhale, draw your knee in towards your nose, shoulders come over your wrists, and then we'll step the foot up in between your hands. Our feet stay in the same line. We'll lower the back heel down, open up into your warrior two. Fingertips spread wide apart from each other, nice deep bend in your front knee, straight and strong through your back leg. We gaze over our front middle finger. And then we'll start to come into this idea of letting love move through you. So you become an empty vessel, and love and your breath are able to travel through your movement. So as we inhale, we'll straighten through our front leg, turn the palms up, lift the arms up overhead to touch at the top. Turn all 10 toes to face the left edge of your mat. As you exhale, we'll come into warrior two, bending the left leg. Inhale, we reach up, bring your gaze high. Exhale, warrior two to the right. And then you'll start to come into these waves, matching your movement to your breath, adding in any flare or flowy movements with the arms that you like. And let your movements be slow and deliberate. We'll take another round to each side. Letting yourself be an empty vessel, filling up with love. We'll meet back on our right side, warrior two. We'll inhale here. Exhale to cartwheel the hands down to your mat. We'll step the right foot back to meet the left. Lower through your version of the vinyasa. You can come all the way to your belly or halfway down. Inhale for upward facing dog or your cobra. We will meet in downward facing dog. We'll bring the toes together to touch. This time inhale the left leg high. Exhale, bend your knees, stack your hips open if you like. Inhale, lift the knee a little higher. Exhale, sweep it around to tap your nose. And then we'll look forward, step the foot up in between your hands. We'll lower the back foot down and find warrior two on the left side. Sinking low into your front knee. And then we'll start to straighten through the front leg. Reach your arms up like a star. We'll take the heels in and the toes out. Start to bend the knees and come into our goddess pose. So you can have the hands down on the knees or your fingers out to the side like little trays that you're holding. Taking a shift back and forth. Feeling what feels good in your hips. Then we'll find some stillness in the center. Make your spine really long. Inhale here. Exhale, dip your right shoulder down into the middle. We'll inhale to rise up through center. Exhale, left shoulder dips in, taking a twist. Inhale to rise through center. And we'll straighten through the legs, straighten through the arms. Take your toes a little in and your heels out this time. We'll bring our arms to a T and start to hinge forward, coming to our wide-legged forward fold. Bring your hands down underneath your shoulders and then start to walk them back in line with your feet. And we'll let the crown of the head face down towards the floor as best it can. Start to walk your hands back underneath your shoulders, rising up to a flat back. And then we'll walk the hands all the way around to frame the left foot. Left toes come to point forward. And we'll rise up on the back ball of the foot. And then we'll step the left foot back to meet the right. Flow through your vinyasa or meet us back in downward facing dog. We'll take a wide-legged child's pose once we get there. So lower the knees down to the outside edges of your mat. Untuck your toes, sit your hips back onto your heels. Stretch your arms out in front of you and ground through the forehead. Reconnect to your breath as your belly expands into your thighs. And we'll draw another breath in. As you exhale, start to make your way onto hands and knees, so bring your knees back underneath your hips. We'll keep our hips up high. Start to walk the hands out to the top corners of your mat, spreading them wide apart. We'll press our chest down into the mat, coming into a deep, deep heart opener, puppy dog pose. Pressing your palms down into the earth and keeping your hips lifting high. Think about pressing your heart down into your mat. And we'll slowly start to come out of this, gently bringing weight into your palms and walking them back underneath your shoulders. We'll send the hips around to one side so we can bring the legs out in front of us with bent knees. And we'll grab onto the hamstrings so we can come all the way down onto our backs. We'll have our feet hips distance apart, knees pointing up towards the sky, and then walk your feet in close enough that you can touch the backs of your heels with your middle fingers. We'll rise up into a bridge pose, pressing down through both feet, lifting the hips in line with the knees and shoulders. And then option to interlace your hands under the low back, tucking your shoulders underneath you. And keeping your gaze up towards the sky. And even though your thighs won't be touching, imagine like you have a block in between them and you're squeezing the energy into that block. Then let your glutes release and press down to your feet to lift your hips a little higher. And take an inhale here. And as you exhale, undo the clasp of your hands, lower your hips down to the mat. And we'll take our feet as wide as the mat and then windshield wiper the knees from side to side. Keeping our spine in a neutral position. And then once you come back through center, we'll hug the knees up into the chest. We'll let the hoof fall over to the right side. Take your arms out wide or cactus elbows. Gaze away from your knees, coming into a reclined twist. Feel yourself open in your heart. Open across your chest. So you slow down into your restorative pose. Start to shift back through center. Keep your arms wide. We'll just let the knees drop over to the left. And we'll gaze over our right shoulder. Coming back to your deep belly breath. Shift back through center and start to gather your knees up into the chest, giving yourself a nice big hug, grabbing hold of opposite elbows if that's available, taking your forehead up to touch your knees. And we'll take a nice big inhale here. As you exhale, start to extend your legs down long on your mat and let your palms be face up by your sides. Close your eyes. And drop into Shavasana, your final resting pose with an open heart. as you're ready, start to make your way out of your Shavasana, slowly bringing movement back into the body, starting with your fingers and your toes. Bring your attention back to your breath if it's drifted elsewhere. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you so much. We know that all the love that we send out into the world starts with love for ourselves, so you're off to a good start by practicing some self-care today. Keep up the good work, and I hope it continues out the rest of your week. I appreciate you. Namaste.